So we were yeah, I was ready. uh, you know I'm done, I'm over, let's go, let's get out of here. And it was like literally 2 days. I'm supposed to sell my truck the next day, um my Chevrolet, my Silverado. And I had a buyer lined up the next day. A good friend of mine organized it all, set it all up. And I get a message from this guy here in the Dominican Republic, and he goes, "Hey, just want to know if you're vaccinated, because if not, they went to a vaccine passport the other day here in the DR, and if you're not vaccinated, it's everything's gonna up in air right now." He goes, "I don't know what they're gonna do." So I went into full panic mode. I went into full panic mode because I was so sure, DR was the place for us. I was so sure about it. I got on. I called. I messaged my wife. I said, "We can't leave. We can't leave. And I'll explain later, but we can't leave." And I started canceling this, canceling that. In the process, I probably lost about $4,000 in things that I couldn't just not cancel, like flights and stuff like that. Um, some things weren't booked, thankfully, yet. So yeah, I think it was around $4,000 we lost that day, and I just went into a tailspin. Jen came home. I explained everything to her, what was going on, why we couldn't leave. And then I was just, my mind was racing. It was all over the place. And I'm like, "God, where are you? Like, what is going on here?" And and so it was in October, so it was chilly nights. In Canada, it was chilly nights, and so they went out to Jen and her parents and my son went out to roast some marshmallows, and Jen asked me if I wanted to come out, and I said, "Yeah, I'll be right there," and grab my jacket. And so I walked over and I grabbed my jacket, and the car keys were sitting right there beside my jacket, like right there on the counter, like hung up, and then the counter's over here, and my car keys are right there. And I just grabbed the car keys and I walked into the garage. I hopped into the car and I took off and I left. And then I get down the road and remember about the car, the truck. Oh my gosh, I gotta sell this truck tomorrow. So sell this truck. I gotta go to work. I was gone. I hadn't quit my job. I was just gonna call in until they fired me, and just in case things didn't work, I had some vacation booked for a few weeks, so that I was covered for a few weeks there, and then some family caregiver leave and stuff like that. But anyways, we call them up, and I'm in a panic, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't sell tomorrow. Matt, I cannot sell my car tomorrow, my truck tomorrow." It's like, "Bro, it's all you signed a contract, everything." I said, "Matt, you gotta get me out of this contract. You gotta talk to this guy." He's like, "Yo, you already spent $500 to put it up on the auction and all this stuff or whatever, right?" And I'm like, "Listen, I can't sell it. I gotta go to work. How am I gonna get to work? I need to be able to get to work." I said, "Listen, this is what's going on." I told him, and I'm calm right now in this message. I'm freaking out. He's probably like, what who is like he's probably like not knowing how to handle me in the moment. And I finally had enough, and I said, "Matt, I'm telling you right now, I'm not selling the truck tomorrow. If I have to give this truck over tomorrow legally, I'll give it over legally, but tonight, just let me know, because tonight I will take a baseball bat to the thing and I will smash it to pieces." All right, that's how like nuts I was. And he said, "Okay, I'll figure it out," he says. And we get off the call, and then I'm driving for hours, for hours. I got Christian music on, worship music, and on my playlist. And I have a lot of I had a lot of music on my playlists are like 50 songs long, right? And they just keep playing. Then when the playlist is done, it just goes to something else, right? Usually similar though. And so Jen's calling me. I'm ignoring her calls. I'm stopping them because I'm losing my mind. At one point I was asking God. I said, like, I don't know. Part of me just wants to drive off a cliff right now, God, because where are you? I need to know where you are. And I'm probably driving for 2 3 hours, and then all of a sudden this song comes on. I've never heard it in my life. Never heard this guy in my life, and his name was Dax. Dax. I don't know if you guys know him, but he has a song called "Dear God," and that song just boom. I listened to it the first time, and I hit repeat, listened to it again, hit repeat. I played that song 4 times, and I pulled over into a parking lot. Right, it took me 4 songs to get out of the country into a town, and I pulled into a parking lot. I was out by Cambridge, Ontario at this point, and I pulled into a mall parking lot. Um, and I listened to the song 4 times, and I'm gonna do the first part of the song and go through the first part. But if you get a chance, I got to tag them in it in the video. But if you get a chance, I want you to go and listen to the song, especially if you're in a place where you're thinking, God, where are you? Where are you right now? I am desperate because right that night I was desperate. And it starts off by saying, just want to make this clear. I am a believer. So I'm not saying, okay, God, where are you? Da, da, da. I'm forsaking you. I don't trust you anymore. I don't believe in you. God, I'm a believer, but I'm struggling right now to know where you are, right? But sometimes it gets hard. My name is Dax, but for me, my name is Daryl. Dear God, dear God, there's a lot of questions that I have about the past. And man, we can talk about my past. We can talk about my childhood. We can talk about my infidelities. We can talk about so many things. Yes, I have a lot of questions about my past. Why do I do this? Why do I self sabotage? Why do I do these things? And I don't want to hear it from a human you made. I struggled with going to a pastor. I remember one time the pastor who led me to Christ, and it was during COVID and all that, and I messaged him and I said, listen, my dad's really sick, and I don't want this Bible. Give me don't give me the Bible answer. I want a human to human answer. And I love Pastor Dan, and God rest his soul, and God bless his wife Esther and the congregation that they worked for 30 years that are probably still feeling his death. So God be on them. But I messaged him, and I really needed an answer in that moment, and I got a biblical answer, and I just ignored it and didn't know where to turn. Right. So when we said, I don't want to hear it from a human you made. I want to hear it from you, God. And it says, so you're the last person that I'm ever going to ask. Tell me what's real. Tell me what's fake. Why is everything about you a debate? Why? What's the point of love? Every time I've showed it, I was broken, and it's forced me just to only want to hate. And then it goes like, listen, go listen to the song. It's a powerful song. It really hit me. And I broke down and I cried. And I said, okay, God, you're here, you're listening.